Hey everybody, this is Mordecai
And this is Tony.
with the Mordecai and Tony Show. Now, this is something that I've been procrastinating with all week long, and even right now it's taken about 2 hours to get this, this video going, and hoping that I'm not going to offend anyone. Now, you know how YouTube you go through some stuff and they have things that are recommended for your recommended list. So I went to one and it came up and it was they were saying that mixed people are not black. I watched the video. Now it really wasn't like it was video footage, but it was more like a montage of like just pictures and stuff like that and words and showing mixed people, biracial people, then showing African people, and it's on YouTube because it's called Mixed People. Mixed people ain't black, and one of them is I think black women adore mixed chicks. Now, some of the stuff that Tommy Sotomayor says I agree with, but like the way he bashes black women and mixed people, and you know how they talk about light-skinned guys and stuff like that. I just think that like all that is nonsense, and I'm trying to figure out like either did you get hurt by a black woman, and and then when people have children that look exactly like them, and then you're talking about either black men or black women, and that child happens to be of the sex that you hate so much, how is that going to make that child feel about themselves as being an adult? But that's all you spew out is the hatred and stuff like that. But my opinion on the topic is are mixed people considered black? In my opinion, I consider mixed people black. All the mixed people that I have ever met, any mixed person that I have ever dated, has considered themselves black, whether they were Japanese and black, white and black, Mexican and black, Korean and black. They've all considered themselves black. And I would say that black would be the default race for someone that looks of black American descent, which we are a mix of a lot of things, to be considered black and something else. So they have the black look, but they're of something else, but they would be considered black. Like, for instance, Tony's into his saltwater aquariums and stuff like that. So we went to a pet store, and we happen, where we live at is all white people. So if we see someone of color, we noticeably stand out. So there was a light-skinned black guy that worked in the pet store. So he was helping Tony with his saltwater stuff and the fish. And when we went back, like a couple of weeks later, we were asking if he still had worked there or if he was working that day, so we could, I guess, I don't know if they get paid off commission, but, we wanted to talk to him and, see what he thought about the fish that we wanted to get and stuff like that. So when I described him, which I asked her, I said, is the Spanish guy working? She was like, who? I said, the black guy. She said, oh, he worked yesterday. So even if he was Spanish, to her, he was labeled as black because he had black features, but you can tell he was of something else. He may have been, Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, anything else, Cape Verde, whatever. But in my opinion, I consider mixed people to be black. And I just asked a mixed guy yesterday what his mom considered herself as, and he looked at me and said my mom was black. So I just wanted to make sure that I read stuff and to see other people's opinions on it, and how some mixed people may not want to be associated with black, so they may say that, well, I'm black and something else, or I'm only half black. Like a lady told me, the president. She said, I said, well, I'm happy. I like his views and stuff, and I said, I'm just happy that we have a black president. And she said, well, he's only half black. I mean, that's the way she said it. Like, like you can't get him, can't get him all to yourself. But and then a lot of people also said too that they feel like that if someone says that they're black, that it's they're disowning the other race that they are. That's well, okay. You can go on back through our videos and you can see my DNA test. I am multiracial. I'm not biracial with black and white, but I'm Native American. Well, the majority of my DNA is West African. 20% of it is broadly North, South, West, East African, Southeast Asian, Native American, and Ashkenazi Jew. So, and then European, of course, European. So that's my admixture of my multi-ethnicity. And I think that the hatred more was coming toward the people that are mixed with black and solely white. I've never held a mixed person up on a pedestal. I never saw a mixed person as competition for me in anything. I've never, if I've ever would have had biracial nieces and nephews, I never would have said what would people think. I had when I worked at the casino in North Carolina, there was a guy that was special forces, and a lot of our security guards were all ex-military special forces and stuff like that. And he had a mixed grandson. And, him and his wife, they weren't together anymore, but he was telling us, about his mixed grandson and how he loves him, and how his wife, when the daughter came and said, I'm pregnant and the father is my friend that I told you was just my friend, she automatically, he said, and then this is what he started off with. He said, my wife is not racist. He said, but she said if they were out in public with her and the grandbaby being biracial, what would people think? I have never, ever heard any of my friends that have biracial children say that, or I don't even think they would ever think that, because being black, that's what we know. We know that we are black and something else. And I have never heard any of my black friends or any of my friends that are biracial think and say out loud, what would people think if there was a biracial child and they're out in public. I don't know if that's just something that, if you're not white, you're something else. And I'm talking about noticeably white. The features, the hair, of course, the eyes, nose, lips, stuff like that. The culture has nothing to do with it. Our culture is American culture. And I have nieces and nephews that look like me, that have the same genetic makeup. One of my nieces even has the Gaucher's disease, Groucher's disease, which is a disease that predominantly Eastern European Jews get. So we have this trait as far as this disease is concerned, but Tony has nieces and nephews that are Mexican and black, and also white and black. And what, in your opinion, what do you consider your nieces and nephews as?
You consider them black.
And would you consider them to be solely Mexican?
No.
They just look like pretty little black babies, don't they?
Little mixed kids.
Right. And I think a lot of people just think that some people do think that mixed people think that they are better. I personally have never thought that, but maybe some people have been hurt. I had even asked my mother if she ever felt that, because her mother is mixed. I asked her if she ever felt different growing up, and she said no, but she instilled in me and my brother that we are black men. She taught us how to act as black men. She told us what is expected of us as black men. So we grew up as far as Black American culture, and but just happened to be, you know, Jewish. So I mean, but I didn't want to get into this too much because I'm. It just seems like it's a touchy subject. Like, Halle Berry, right? She's biracial. She's not. I don't want to use the term mixed. I'm mixed. Tony's mixed. She's biracial, and it's probably a little hint of something else in there. But she's predominantly a white mother and an African American father. She considers herself to be black, and she considered her daughter to be black. Her daughter is black. Her daughter is, if she considers herself to be black, and she considers her daughter to be black, her daughter is black. Even though her daughter is 1/4 black, her daughter is black. Black women have been having mixed babies since we have come to America. And my family weren't slaves, but if they were, I'm pretty sure that that would have been the thing that was going on, having babies with master's children. So I just don't see what the big fuss is and why all of a sudden Xbox pause. Why all of a sudden it's people think that they're holding mixed people up to a status of better than other black people. If they're considered black and they consider themselves to be black, then they should be considered black people, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think that they're just owning the other half of their race. It's just that in American society, if you look black, you are going to be considered black. If you look white, you are going to be considered white. And that's that. Now, a lot of mixed people say, well, maybe we should have our own little group. Girl, you are black, honey. I'm not a believer of all the stuff that went on in the South, but the one drop rule, the black gene is so strong that you cannot run away from that. But that's just in my opinion. I consider mixed people to be black, and he has nieces and nephews that are black and white, Mexican and black, and that's what it is.
Like, what do you say? Like, predominantly white. My nephews will probably grow up okay, but what if it was in reverse from where we originally from Birmingham, and they was in that situation, and there I seen how mixed people can be treated differently versus black people. And because my mom, she was like, when she had us, she was young, and in the neighborhood that we lived in, she was a light-skinned girl, everybody wanted to fight her because they thought she was prettier than them and something like that. So she stayed into drama a lot. But with my nephews, growing up in Birmingham, they probably would have grew up saying, trying to figure out what they really are because of how people would have treated them differently versus being here. And how would people would deal with something like that to tell their kids what they are when they're confused.
And that's a good point too, because I was looking at it more as the mixed kids being looked at as through the eyes of white society. And you're right. My grandmother, she said she used to get picked on by black girls a lot. They used to, redhead gingerbread, 5 cents cabbage head. Redhead gingerbread, 5 cents cabbage head. Because she had red hair and freckles. And, they used to pick on her because she was light skinned. And I always thought that she was prettier than them. But there are pretty black girls. There are pretty dark skinned girls. Not just pretty black girls. There are pretty dark skinned girls. There are pretty brown skinned girls. There are pretty red bones. And I just never personally felt, other than when I was modeling with these Puerto Ricans and I told them that they look black, that they look offended by the fact that I would even think that they look like American blacks. That's the only time that I ever that I felt like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And you look just like me, and you just just gave me this disgusting look like, ugh. you're American black. But that's the only time I ever felt that way. And then my mother said she only felt that way one time. She said, but it was, a boy had said something about a girl, and she was like, I'm cuter than her anyway. And there are ugly mixed people too. Not every mixed person is freaking beautiful. So that's just my opinion on it. So then you got Tony's opinion on it too. So hopefully we didn't offend anyone. And hold on for 1 second. You can talk.
I'm all out of things to say right now. Blooper moment.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe you don't give a shit what I'm saying. You probably don't. But my opinion is for in the defense of mixed people that classify themselves as black. Just the hatred that I heard on those videos about we're picking up other races trash, and like, mixed people are not trash, and no one can pick who their parents are. No one can pick what race they're going to be born. But if someone wants to classify themselves as black, there should not be a problem with that. And the president even classified himself as African American because in American society, even though he is biracial, has a biracial black father, white mother, he is considered black. So that's why he considers himself to be African American. And there's nothing wrong with mixed people considering themselves African American. Biracial people are not trash. None of that other bullshit. All black people do not look the same. Africa is the most diverse continent on the earth. More tribes, people with straight hair, people tall, thin, people super light skin, people dark skin, burnt skin, beautiful people. So I just think it's weird. So, I mean, you can have your own opinion. This is just my personal opinion. And maybe, to me, it seems like the people that have the most hatred, they're self-conscious. Like, about the girl who made the comment about the light skin, she's more than light skin. She looks like Mariah Carey when Mariah Carey was younger. And she has, straight white girl hair, but she grew up raised by her black grandmother and her black father, and she considers herself to be black. And she's mixed. She's biracial, but she considers herself to be black. And it's just like some of the girls were saying, well, if she's black, then what does that make me as a black woman that's struggling in America when she can get by and say she's white? She has her own struggles too. She has the stuff to deal with as being a biracial girl. You're going to have your stuff with as being I don't even know why I said that. She's a biracial girl that just has to deal with issues of trying to figure out her identity. So you making it seem like she's better than you because you're darker than her, you have more African features than her, it just doesn't sound right. It just sounds like low self-esteem and stuff like that. I've even had a dark friend, he is a dark-skinned guy, say that he would be so fine if he was light-skinned. And I said, you are attractive now. You're dark-skinned. You have beautiful skin, beautiful teeth, beautiful hair. What is the problem with you being dark-skinned? I said, you do know that light-skinned people like dark-skinned people, right? Not all light-skinned people are attracted to light-skinned people, so you kind of got a leg up on, what you're attracted to anyway. But that's just my opinion on it. Tony already gave his 2 cents on it. thank you very much for listening. This is just something I had to get off my chest because the disgusting vulgarities that I heard coming out of that video just upset me so bad that I had to sit up and think that my grandmother was not some other racist trash. Tony's mother and grandmother was not somebody else's racist trash. These are women that are they're black. They're black. Black women have been having babies with white men for a very long time, and these babies have always been considered black. You know, they have their own thing that they have to go through when people say, well, what are you, when they don't noticeably look black, but they are part of the black community. What did Patrick say? His brother is white, but not white like him. Mm-hmm. And I knew what that meant because Patrick was saying his brother was mixed. He's not white like Patrick. You know, blue eyes, you know, brown or blonde hair that looks like a white American. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And, you know, if you like, you know, please thumbs up. If you like to subscribe, please do. And you'll have a blessed night. And, you know, hopefully this didn't offend anyone. If you just don't want to classify yourself as, you know, one of the darkies, don't classify yourself as one of the darkies. But America is going to see you for what you look like. So that's just how it is. And that's just how it is in America. I mean, it's probably always going to be like that until, you know, about 20 or 30 years from now, when everybody starts to look more of a blended, you don't know what's in that pot of, you know, stew. So, have a good night. Once again, this is Mordecai.
And this is Tony.
With the Mordecai and Tony Show, and we love y'all.